been a little minute since I've been live on this channel. Come on in. How are you? Like the video, like, share, and subscribe. Give you all some time to come on in because I want to have a conversation. Should have titled the video Family Matters. Come on in. Like, share, and subscribe. I know you all have to be pretty familiar with what's going on with the family situation with rapper GloRilla and her sister. Y'all come on in. Let's see how many notifications go out. I really can't even remember the last time I've even gone live on this channel. Hey, just say when, what's up? You're the first one. Please like the video as you come on in. I can't remember the last time I went live on this channel, but I felt like it was fitting for me to go live on this channel to just talk about all the shenanigans going on with the Woods family. I've been following it pretty tough for, I guess they said it just hit a week. It's just made a week since GloRilla's big sister, Scarface Woods, jumped on the internet and start just airing out the family business. So let me know your thoughts on the situation. I've listened to her as in Scarface speak on multiple occasions. And her story is still pretty consistent. So I personally don't think she's lying. I don't think she's lying at all. I think most people don't think she's lying. I think the root of how I think most people kind of more so are leaning into the question is, should she be talking? See, that's the question. The question, I feel like the question for it really is like, should she be talking? Like, just because you don't call a thing, does that mean it's not a thing? I don't know, because sometimes people feel like, well, just because, like, let me know. Y'all come on in, like this video, because sometimes I feel like it comes down to people not wanting to talk about the obvious. Y'all know what I'm talking about, where it's the elephant in the room, and a thing is a thing, even if you choose not to talk about the thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And I feel like with the Woods family, that's what we're dealing with. Like a matter that's not supposed to be talked about. And I think that's something that just about everyone, as you all come on in here with 23 people, can you relate to the Woods family? Can you relate to the idea or the notion that, okay, there's things taking place in this family, in this household. No one talks about it. You're not supposed to talk about it, but the issue is happening. Like, it's taking place. It's happening. Whether we talk about it or not, it's happening. And I think that's what we're seeing play out with the Woods family, is that one family member is like, yo, like, we gonna talk about this. Whereas mostly the other family members are like, nah, like, we shouldn't talk about that. And I think that that's kind of where the issue lies, or what's up for debate. Do you air out family business? Do you air out family business? Do you take it to the internet? Do you take it to your job? Do you take it to school? You know what I'm saying? Like, do y'all understand what I'm saying? It's like, when you're dealing with family business, are you just supposed to just keep it to yourself? Because what we're seeing is a family member that's like, yo, like, I'm tired of keeping it to myself. I'm ready to air it out, because the way family members are putting it out there, it's a lie. And I can't deal anymore. So to me, since I've been following the situation, that's kind of, and please participate at in the poll, because I want to understand. I want to know what the mass, what people, how people feel. Like, do you feel like Scarface, aka BroRilla, do you feel like she's wrong for coming out talking about the family business? Do you feel like she's wrong to expect, I guess, a hand up, a hand out, whatever, however you want to call it? Do you feel like she's wrong for that? Because I've been listening to her talk for like the past week. And I read today, I listened to her do an interview on the YouTube channel DJ UTV. So he's a DJ. And BroRilla's like, yo, like if I was just coming out here for clout, I could have done that a while ago. Like she's been popping for 4 years. She's been popping for 4 years and I never came on the scene. So it wasn't about that. Like it wasn't about that. And so she's like, it just came down to me just wanting to just really put the truth out there, because she kind of got tired of GloRilla putting things out there, painting a picture of things being one way with her relationship and her family versus another way. And BroRilla's like, yo, like she's lying. It's really not like that. She really not helping us the way she's putting out there that she's helping us. And I just want to let it be known. And it wasn't about me trying to get a come up and to go viral. She said she didn't even know, she didn't think that she was going to go viral. And I can believe that. She worked at, I think, FedEx. So remember she put out there that the mama still works at FedEx, right? So BroRilla was also, I think, working there as well. And she said how it became known that she was related to GloRilla was like somebody at work told her that she looked like her. And then they peeped what her last name was. So her last name is Woods. So when they, they like, hey, 1 + 1 is 2. So once they kind of put it together, they kind of ran around the warehouse and just started telling everybody. So now the cat's out the hat. Everyone knows Victoria Woods is Gloria Woods, aka GloRilla's sister. So she was like, it was embarrassing. She said it was embarrassing to be working at the warehouse, and being that she was GloRilla's sister, everyone wanted to know, like, why are you still working here? Why are you still working here? So she was like, it was just tough, whether even outside, just even in the community. She was like, people want to know, like, okay, if your sister's on, why aren't you on? And to me, I mean, I can understand how that would probably make somebody feel away, because yes, her sister's on, but that's her life. And you don't want to be compared to somebody else. Like, you just don't want to do that, be in that situation. So I completely understand. She's not the first person I've heard talk about where they were in a situation and other people are like, well, yo, why aren't you doing this, that, and the third? And I think y'all remember Freddie from Making the Band. I think that was his name, Freddie. And when he fell on hard times, he was like, when he was out trying to find a job. And these people, like when he would try to find a job and, go into wherever to be like, yo, y'all hiring, they were like, aren't you the dude from Making, weren't you a part of Making the Band? Why are you here? Why do you need this job? Like, so he was like, it was tough. It was embarrassing. It was hard because he was recognized. He was recognizable. So because of that, people have their preconceived notions on how they feel like your life should be if you were once kind of popping or you're related to someone who is popping. So here's the thing. GloRilla is the one who has the fame, the fortune, not the siblings. But the siblings have to kind of move kind of in her shadow, but at the same time with people having questions that's, centered around like, well, why aren't you doing this, that, and the third like your sister? So from Scarface perspective, I can see how it has been tough. I don't believe, as I've listened to her speak, that her grievances is rooted in her just wanting GloRilla to just do leaps and bounds and backflips. I mean, for her or her siblings, I think it's just rooted in she just wants her sister GloRilla to kind of lend a helping hand to help them kind of come up and maybe even like invest in some things for them. BroRilla, aka Scarface Woods, says she's a rapper. I haven't heard her, spit any raps, but she says she's a rapper. So I think she would appreciate if GloRilla would just kind of maybe help put her on, or maybe, do a feature together with. I don't know. I just feel like when there is a family member who is doing well, I think that it's nice for that family member who is doing well to extend a hand to say, hey, I'm doing well over here. Maybe I can help you in, some opportunities or some things that you maybe had an interest in. Maybe I can invest in you, something like that, versus you just jet setting around the world and then you just leaving your family behind. I don't know, because the way GloRilla puts it, hey, what's up, Dr. J? The way GloRilla puts it, she's like, listen, I do this, that, and the third for my family. But Scarface, aka BroRilla's like, no, you don't. That's not true. That's not true. So it's like, well, which one, do you all believe? Susan Robinson, what's up? You said they should both take equal responsibility for the role they've played in this entire situation. I agree. I believe that there are truths on both sides. I believe that GloRilla has shown support in giving things to her family. But at the same time, I believe that that some of the family members feel like she could have done more. And listening to what Scarface say, to me, it don't sound like she's asked. Hell, first of all, she said $2,500 flat. So that's not somebody who's asking for a whole lot. That's just someone just asking for something. And you all just think about it. If you're in a situation, and think about your parents or your immediate family, and you came into a lump sum of money. Let's just say you got, because listen, they got a big family. It's like, what, 10 kids? So the average family, it's not 10 kids in the household. But just think about your situation. If you came into millions, you were doing very well. You had siblings. They were still in a struggle situation. Would you, one, cut them a check for X amount of dollars, or two, talk to them about maybe some business opportunities that maybe you can assist them with, invest in them, maybe bring them on as part of your staff, your team? I don't know, but would you incorporate them some type of way into your life, into your situation? That's the question. Because I think that from what I hear from Scarface, the way she speaks, I feel like that she's talking from an angle of that not being something that happened, where their sister was kind of trying to kind of incorporate them into something or offer to help them elevate. And I don't think there's anything wrong with someone who's doing well. I don't think there's anything wrong to just to offer to help your siblings who aren't doing as well, to say, yo, like, okay, I'm doing well. I see that you're pretty good with doing hair. Let me invest in trying to help you get a hair salon, help you get some space, because I see you nice with the braids, the sew-ins, the wigs. You see what I'm saying? Like, where you can get some, where you got the money to where you can help them get like a building someplace where they can kind of go and do what it is that they do. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about helping, because they're able to make money themselves, but you're helping to put them in a situation to where they can kind of get that income. What they say, teach a man how to fish, he'll always eat. He'll never go hungry. But if you keep feeding them, then they're going to be dependent on you. And from what I'm seeing, or what I feel like with this situation, it seems like we're not dealing with a situation where that was a case where where I'm not gonna even say big sister, because GloRilla at the bottom, she like almost like baby sister. Well, baby sister got put on. It don't seem like that was something that she offered. And no, she didn't have to, but I feel like it's a nice gesture if you're doing well and you have siblings and things like that who aren't, for you to have conversations with them to be like, yo, like, all right, I got a few dollars. Let me invest in this. Let me invest in you. You drive trucks. All right, then let me invest in helping you maybe get a cab, get a truck or whatever, so you can drive for yourself. You got your CDLs. Like I used the example, you can do hair. Let me invest in helping you maybe get, a building or whatever where you can start doing hair out of this building. I can help you with securing the lease, whatever. And then as you're making your money, you making money, you can pay the rent. Y'all see what I'm saying? It's just like, just that jump start. Just that jump start. And to me, I feel like with Scarface, that is what she's saying that kind of did not take place with GloRilla. That's not what took place. It's almost like she kind of had her success and win, and then she just left, and then maybe here and there or whatever she was doing for the parents, she was throwing them a few dollars, whatever. But with her siblings, it was just like not what I'm describing being extended to them, because I haven't heard her say that she did all that. But I mean, I just feel like that would be, a nice gesture for someone who's doing well, and when you see your siblings not doing so well. I seen a video today of a young girl. She was saying she was one of the siblings. I don't know if it's true or not, because in the comments, someone was like, oh, well, that's not one of the sisters. She don't look like them. But she was saying that she was one of the sisters. She was the oldest of the girls, and she sells cans, go sell, recyclable cans to make money, to pay her bills and things like that. Like I said, I've watched so many videos, so I'm not sure if this particular young lady is in fact one of the siblings, because remember, there was 10 of them. So I'm not sure. But this person, in this video, if it was a sister, she's like, yo, like, I'd appreciate if she would just help me with maybe investing in me to help me jumpstart something, one of my talents, designing clothes, whatever it is. She talked about how she would appreciate if GloRilla maybe had, were to invest in her and help her out with doing something like that. Susan, you said before some can get to that point, they have to discuss and hear from from some obvious childhood, heal from some obvious childhood things that occurred between them. I get it. That's why I'm like, yo, what's the root cause of this? Because to me, we're dealing with a lot of surface level things. And I think the root cause goes back to when they were kids and things taking place in the house. I feel like GloRilla could have possibly been viewed as a favored child in the house. And the other kids took notice of that. And I'm gonna talk about that, why I feel this way. GloRilla, a year ago, I just seen the clip. She did an interview with Shannon Sharp on his podcast, Club O'Shea. So you all can go out there and watch that. She did an interview with Shannon Sharp, and she said that she was number 8, and so all the boys have like the same middle name, which was, she said, her father's middle name. And then the girls have the same middle name. I think she said it's Nicole, except for her. Her name is Gloria Hallelujah Woods. Her middle name is Hallelujah. Gloria came from her grandmother. She was named after her grandmother. She says she do not know why her mama named her Hallelujah, but the other girls have the same name, Nicole. She also said once the older siblings moved out of the house, became grown, moved out of the house, she was the one to assist her mom with like handling business, balancing checkbooks, any personal, things that a responsible person would kind of oversee or help with. Like that was her job. She said she did those things. So it led me to believe that because she grew up kind of being tasked with those type of things, there was a different level of responsibility that was put onto her, which also kind of sparked this the business mindset of GloRilla. Because remember, I said as a kid, her mom would have her to be like her little assistant, not the other kids. The ones older were grown. So let's just say there's 7 left in the house. GloRilla was the one out of the 7 who would be like mommy's assistant with handling business and things like that. Scarface, aka BroRilla, said that she started rapping first. Then GloRilla got the spark to want to rap. But she said GloRilla actually pursued it and she did not. Now, I have not heard her say yet why she chose to not pursue rapping, but she said GloRilla pursued it and she did not. So what, to me, GloRilla grew up already kind of with this business mindset of a go-getter, like, hey, I'm about to go out here and get to it. Like, because it started from just her mom placing her in a situation that had her to just kind of, step up to the plate. And so I think with her mindset being like that, that's what had her, it made it easy for her when she identified something that she kind of found interest in, for her to just go at it and explore it, and it became a hit. She was successful at it. And that's just life. There's so many people who talk about it but don't be about it. My motto in life: don't talk about it, be about it. And GloRilla was about it. Even her sister says that. She was like, the only difference, my sister pursued it, I didn't. And that's the case with a lot of people who are successful. Life, it consists of the doers and the ones who don't do ish. You're like, really, when you really think about it, think about yourself, the things you've done, the things you've accomplished, and those other people that you know in your life who don't have much of anything. It really comes down to those who are doers and those who aren't. Like, it's really not that deep. It's really not that deep. And I think when you look at the 2 sisters, you're able to see that that's really what it came down to. Like, it really wasn't any deeper than that. One sister finding an opportunity and going with it. One sister overcoming fear, going with it, overcoming the idea of rejection, going with it. These are the things that no one's exempt from. No one's exempt from being rejected. No one's exempt from feeling fearful of something. No one, like, we all go through this, but some people will let that just hold them back to where they don't ever even jump off the porch. GloRilla jumped off the porch. Big sis Scarface, aka BroRilla, did not. Like, point blank, like, that's really it. That's like, there's really no difference. And I think that Scarface, deep down, there's a level of kind of resentment there, because I feel like there's a lot of reasons that she can probably come up with to justify why she didn't pursue, say, rapping, and her sister did. So I believe that there is a level of like resentment there. I mean, it could be jealousy, but I think it goes back to just going like in the household, her taking notice of just a difference with experiences, because when children have different types of experiences with their parents. Y'all ever notice how, like, you can attest this probably just with your own children, how you have multiple children and they're all getting the same lesson. And think about yourself when you were in a house, how y'all was being raised in the same environment, but you walked away with a different experience, a thought process than your other siblings did. Because everyone is experiencing people differently. That's just life. I have 3 children. Each of my kids are experiencing me as a mother differently because they're different people. So I'm having different types of conversations with them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like GloRilla had a different type of relationship with her mother than BroRilla did with her mother. BroRilla constantly said that she was calling defects on her mom. She said it got so bad, y'all, to where defects blocked her because she was calling reporting on the mother. GloRilla glorifies the mother. If y'all haven't heard her speak recently, GloRilla thinks, that mom did the best she could. Mom gave them whoopings that were warranted. Like, she doesn't speak ill will of her mother. Again, as I say, they both had different experiences. BroRilla experienced with her mother, from her point of view, she viewed her mother as abusive. GloRilla, from her experience, she feels like her mother did the best she could with what she had. You see what I'm saying? How they both were in the same environment, but they have a different concept of the parenting style. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, but they're two different people. They're two different people. BroRilla said that she was kind of like the mouthy one. So she was always getting in trouble because she would, quote unquote, call her mother out on stuff that she felt like her mother was wrong in. For example, if mama got a fish plate over here and she's eating, but though them as children, they're overeating, they're eating ketchup sandwiches. BroRilla's like, listen, I was calling my mama out for, like, well, why you able to eat that and we got to eat this? So because she was calling her mama out, she often was getting whoopings for that. And she, as right at the time as a child, and even today as a young adult, she's 30, she still does not understand why she had to get a whooping for asking a question. You see? So her thing is, so you have GloRilla who said, hey, we were getting whoopings because we were kids and we were rightfully getting whoopings. But then you have big sisters like, well, no, we weren't rightfully getting whoopings, or at least I wasn't. I was getting whoopings because I was asking questions. I was asking questions that no one else in the house was asking. I was vocal. And so here it is that now, fast forward, they're both young adults and they're at odds. And on the surface, it's looking like, okay, Scarface is jealous of GloRilla's fame and success because that's the surface. But I think deep down that Scarface has had an issue with her sister going back to the things that was taking place in the house when they were younger. So for her, she always viewed GloRilla as the one who was always able to just win, the one who people would believe. Y'all ever dealt with that, where in the house where you feel like there's somebody in the house, like, your sibling, they're always believed over you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they always believe them, even though they may be lying, but for whatever reason, that's the person that people choose to believe. And I feel like with GloRilla, that's who she was within the family. That's how BroRilla viewed her, is that sibling, to where when it came to me and her, or even her and maybe some of the other siblings, she was the one to be believed. She was the one to be put on the pedestal. Like, it was always her. She was always just singled out. So now in adult years, it's the same thing happening, but even on a greater scale, because now she's a superstar. So it's layers to this. This is to my perspective of what I'm seeing. It's like it's layers, and a lot of this that we're seeing is very surface level. Susan, you said, yep, my sister was the favored and the one believed. That's what I'm like. I feel like with this situation with them, there's so many people that can relate to what's going on, because either you were the quote unquote black sheep, or maybe you were the one who came off as the favored one. You were the favored one. So because you were the favored one, you maybe got the business from other family members, other siblings, because they viewed you as the favored one. And you're like, well, hell, I didn't do nothing. I didn't like, it's not my fault that they viewed me this way. I didn't ask to be favored, but that was just the type of attention that you got. And so these dynamics happens in families all the time. And just because we grow and we become adults, it doesn't make any of this go away. It's just layered. You know what I'm saying? It's just layered. And other things starts to happen. So it's just kind of like piles up on top of, on top. And, I BroRilla have been doing a lot of interviews, and like, so the interview I watched her do today, the person asked her, if she was dealing with trauma and things like that. And she was like, no, I don't think I'm dealing with trauma. And so I feel like she hasn't really come to realize yet, because she's 30, so that's still young, but she doesn't really understand what trauma is. She doesn't understand. She said she feels like it's a stain on her brain, but she doesn't correlate trauma and a stain on the brain. Like, it's not resonating with her that the things that she's doing, how she's moving, it's not resonating with her that it's a result of just her experiences as a child. She doesn't realize it yet, even though I think most people on the outside, I think most people don't watch BroRilla and think that she's all the way there. Like, I know with me, because my background is clinical mental health counseling. So I have a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. So when I watch people, I pay attention to what they're saying and what they're doing. She doesn't realize that her actions are the result of what took place from when she was a child, with not being fed, with getting punished physically by expressing that she was hungry. Like, these are the things that she don't realize. That's why she keep talking about the McDonald's chicken sandwich. Like, even though for us it's these small things, but at some point, you all, that was a big thing. Like, in the interview, she was like, it was a treat to go to McDonald's. It was a treat to go to McDonald's. So now it's like she 30 years old and she talking about a McDonald's chicken sandwich, because when she was 10, when she was 12, like, that was such a big deal. And when it couldn't happen, or when she said one day GloRilla ate half her chicken sandwich, y'all, when you hungry, like, that's everything. Like, that was like the last supper for her. So she has this memory of having like her little sandwich, and she hungry, and she's a diabetic, and then her sister eat half the sandwich. Y'all, like, that has like left a lasting impression on that young lady, to where she's still talking about it. She's still talking about it. So as I say, the trauma, and a lot of times people don't realize that they're dealing with trauma. They don't realize it because you're so used to just being in the dysfunction and feeling the pain. You know what I'm saying? To where you don't even recognize that it's just that, because you're just used to always hurting. And I think that it's going to take for her to get in a better place in life, to where she's consistently not hurting, not feeling hungry, for her to think like, wow, I did go through some trauma, because today I no longer feel those feelings, those emotions that I felt yesterday. You see what I'm saying? Where you got something to compare. She don't have anything to compare, because she's still feeling it. She's still in the trauma. She's still in it. She's still in it. And but I feel like one day, it's going to resonate with her that, okay, yes, it was trauma. I do need to maybe talk to someone. But that's the thing with us people, Black people, like, talking to someone, therapy, like, that's kind of like almost like it's like taboo within the Black community. It's becoming more like, more, I guess people are starting to kind of explore it more. But when it comes to other groups of people, other races of people, like, we don't explore like the use of like counseling, therapy. We don't explore that enough. We just don't. George, Jorgen said, do you know why it's taboo? My opinion, I feel in my opinion, the reason why it's taboo is because a lot of Black families grew up with the saying, you don't take business out of the house. A lot of Black families grew up with the belief that Jesus will fix it all. Jesus will handle it. If you got a problem, you take it to the Lord. Don't take business out of the house. Luxury Sky says weakness. There's an idea. Um, I think also fear, because from my experience, because like I said, my background, just from my education in the counseling field, counseling is where you air it all out. Counseling is where you're challenged to do the work. Counseling isn't about the person outside that room. Counseling is for you. So that means you're challenged to have to do the work. And as a result of you doing the work, those things that impact you on the outside starts to impact you less, because you learn how to deal with those on the outside. See, we can't control what somebody else do. We can't control how they show up for us. We can't control how they talk to us, how they treat us, but we can control ourselves. We can control how we respond to somebody. We can control how we react to people. Like, those are the things that we can control. And a lot of times people don't want to do that. They don't want to focus on themselves and think about the role that they play in a situation, because it takes work. That's the accountability. It's far easy for someone to point the finger at what somebody did. They did this. He did this to me. She did this to me. Versus like thinking about or taking accountability for the role that they played. So it's just like, well, you said you've been in, say, 5 relationships and all 5 of them was putting hands and feet on you. That's wrong. But let's talk about why that may be. Let's talk about how you're attracting this type of person. Let's talk about why you have tolerated this 5 times. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what your life was like prior to you meeting those 5 people. Let's talk about it. So again, it's back on you, and that's where the work comes in, and nobody want to do the work. Nobody want to do the work, because that's the hard part. And I'm not going to lie, doing the work is hard, and it's scary as well, and it hurts. A lot of people don't want to recount. So when going back, because I'm a believer that most of the things as today as adults that we deal with, how we respond to things, is because of our childhood. It's because of our experiences as a child. And over the years, like I said, it just layers on top. A lot of times people don't want to think back to those childhood memories where the ish started at. Think about it. I use the example, being in a relationship where 5 men have put hands and feet on you. And I challenge you to go back to your childhood. And in your childhood, there was probably some abuse that took place that was hands and feet or whatever put on you. A lot of times people don't want to think about that because it's traumatic. They don't want to think about that. But you can't heal unless you think about that, because you got to stop and deal with the fact that even happened. You see what I'm saying? And that's the part that people don't want to do because it hurts. And when you think about that thing, the person who did that to you was supposed to be the person who was supposed to protect you. That person is probably still in your life. That person is probably your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your uncle. They're still in your life. So you don't want to think about that, because in today and present times, you're still carrying on, showing up at the family events and things as though those things did not happen. And there are so many people who are moving in life in a way where you got to act like and forget that, those things didn't happen, which is what Scarface is doing. She's She says they get together for Thanksgiving and do this, that, and the third. Again, it's acting like it didn't happen. And I always say, just because you don't call a thing don't mean it's not a thing. It's like that elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about it. And that's the problem. People don't want to talk, and because people don't want to really deal with the truth. The truth, they say the truth hurts. The truth hurts. Like, that is a real statement. The truth hurts. But sometimes that pain, that's the breakthrough. You got to stop. You got to deal with it. You got to deal with that pain. And the Woods family got a lot of things that they got to stop and they got to deal with. They got to deal with it. Mom and dad got to sit and hear how the kids felt about not having while being raised. Like they got to sit and deal with that, even though it may hurt. And mom may have a reason as to, well, why you had to eat ketchup sandwiches. You still got to sit in and understand and allow for your children, your adult children, to express how that made them feel. You have to do it. And right now, no one's stopping to talk about the obvious. Everyone is just trying to go on with their life. And it's just like, well, let's just not talk about it. Positive motivation said, we have to face the inner ugly truth. Masking only makes it worse. Everyone should hold each other personally accountable for their bad actions. I agree. But I think I don't know, I can't speak to any other families other than a Black family. My experience, what I've seen, witnessed, it's like a cultural norm for just with the Black family to endure and just move on and just get by, get on. It's a doggy dog world. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like the message is like, it's hard. I would say it's hard out here for a pimp. Like, it's just hard. Life's hard. Suck it up, buttercup. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like when it comes to like the Black community, it's just like, well, that's just the way it is. And you just move on. So there's no conversations about it. Like, you just deal with it. You just deal with it. So Scarface, because she got the memo of, oh, you just deal with it, she's asked about, okay, do you feel like you have trauma, you're dealing with trauma? She's like, well, no, because for her, it's just life. You just deal with it. Like, this is the norm. And it's not, it shouldn't be, but so many people have experienced dysfunction for so long, to where it's like it feels normal, and you think that, oh, well, everybody goes through this. And it's just like, well, no, everybody go through something, but on the level in which they went through it, that's not normal. That is not the average person's experience. It's not. She said that she didn't know that it was normal to get treats and snacks and things just because, without having to there do backflips and just do something extraordinary, deserving of it. When she was in foster care and she had went to a foster family, they were like, hey, you want a snack? And she like, well, what did I do to deserve that? She said she wanted them to adopt her. And the reason why she went back to her mom's house is because during the investigation, when they questioned the other children in the house, they all went, their statements was to the opposite of BroRilla's. They were like, mama ain't doing this, that, and the third. Victoria, aka BroRilla, she's lying. So she was like, basically, she had all the other kids' story go against her. So who do you think they're going to believe? So it had her to look like she was a liar. So after being with the foster family for maybe like a year, they sent her back. And when they did send her back, she was still calling defects, but she said they eventually blocked her because they viewed her as someone she just was lying. Even though she wasn't lying, she felt like the way her mother was raising, the experiences she was having with her mother, she just didn't feel like they were right. Whereas the other kids, because remember, the Black family, you don't take business out of the house, you endure. The other children knew, like, okay, well, whatever's popping off underneath this roof, it is what it is, and it's not to be spoken on outside of the home. Victoria, she was that one kid, aka BroRilla. She was like, yo, F that. This is wrong. I'm going to say something. And that was the energy she had the entire time she lived in that house. She was like, yo, like, I'm not going to just not say anything. And so that's what made her kind of be over here while everybody else was over there. So that's why I say when I think about her relationship with GloRilla, it goes back to childhood with her seeing GloRilla being over here treated this way and she being over here. Because sometimes that more vocal, outspoken child, they'll get that work. They'll get treated in a different way, like punished for that. How many of you grew up in a home and environment, because I sure did, where children are meant to be seen, not heard, where you don't have an opinion? That's the era I grew up in. Like, you don't have an opinion. So these kids today, including mine, they got all these, I call it unsolicited opinions. They'll just voluntarily give you their opinion, their thoughts, and all of that. Whereas when I was growing up, you had to be asked, which I never was. You had to be asked about your thoughts on things. You weren't just voluntarily just giving your thoughts and opinions on something, especially on how your parent is parenting. You just don't do that. I have no memory of ever even doing that. So BroRilla, aka Victoria, she was that child to kind of throw these questions. Well, mama, like, why we ain't got no food? You know I'm a diabetic. Like, hell, I'm a die. I need to eat. Susan said, yep, mine too, seen and not heard. And so Victoria, she understood the way that her parents wanted it to be, but she still chose to just speak up because it was just who she is. She says she's a Sagittarius. She said people on the internet assume she's a Gemini, but she said no, she's a Sagittarius. I don't know what her birthday is, but she says she's a Sagittarius. So just with Black people, like, you just don't say nothing. And Victoria was always outspoken and always that child that was going to say something. She said she got diagnosed as being a diabetic when she was maybe about 12 or 13. So because of that, she got to be on point with her diet, with, making sure that she's eating and all these things. And she was like, her mother wasn't like adhering to that. And so she had a problem with that. And she remember one time getting a whooping because she asked her mama, like, why don't you feed us? And like, why don't you, she says she got a whooping. And she's like, why do I have to get a whooping? Because I'm asking, why aren't you feeding us? Like, why did I have to get a whooping for that? You see? So the other kids knew better. They knew that even though something wasn't right, they knew that it wasn't okay to speak on it. They knew it wasn't okay to speak on it. Victoria, she knew that she would likely get in trouble if she said things, but it was just her personality to still speak up and to say something. So that's why I'm like, this situation with her and Gloria, this goes back to childhood with the difference in treatment amongst the children. It's a sad situation. Can they overcome this? Sure. I don't think there's really too much of anything really you can't overcome. It just comes down to, do people want to overcome these things? Do people want to take responsibility over their role in something? I think that there's room. Victoria, aka BroRilla, is wrong in this situation. But I also think that GloRilla also, there's some things that she could have done better as well. They're both wrong. The difference is GloRilla, she's famous. She has a bigger following, a bigger platform, But at the same time, as I'm looking in these comments on these videos that I'm seeing of Victoria, aka BroRilla, Scarface, she got all these different names. People in the comments they don't think that she's lying. A lot of people are actually rocking with Scarface. They feel like she's saying that quiet part out loud. She's just putting the truth out there. She's just putting the truth out there. So where is she wrong at? Is she wrong for putting the truth out there? Should she have just stayed quiet like she been, I guess, up until a week ago? Like, because most people, when I'm looking in the comments, they're not calling her a liar. She's very consistent as she speaks because she talks all day, every day. She's on live. She's consistent with the information that she says. She sounds very believable. She's funny as hell, but it's like, it's funny, but at the same time, the whole situation is very sad. It's very sad. And GloRilla right now is having to deal with the reality of the truth of what their childhood was like. And that's something that she don't want to think about, because think about it. Would you want to think about that if you were growing up in a home with seeing what she said, Victoria said they were seeing BroRilla, Victoria, aka BroRilla was saying they had pregnant rats running around the house, pregnant flying roaches running around the house. Like, do you want to think about any of that? Do you want the world to know that that was the reality of your situation? And if someone were to share with people that was the reality of your situation and you did not want people to know, would you feel a certain type of way? So it's not that any of this stuff was lies. It's the fact that the truth was put out there and you did not want people to know all of that. Why? Because they really didn't need to know all of that. They really didn't need to know all of that. But BroRilla, aka Victoria, felt like, well, I need to air it all out so people can really understand why I feel the way I do, because we struggled together. And I can't imagine I would have never been able to imagine that one of us would be able to get out of the hood and be wildly successful and not bring the other ones along. But as I started out early on in this live, supporting somebody could be just kind of helping jumpstart something for them to kind of start building their own. So I don't look for GloRilla to just be handing out checks, but as a sister who's successful, I would look for her to at least maybe want to help them jumpstart something that they got going on to where they can start kind of building from it, from a trade or whatever their skill is, where it's like for her to be like an investor in it. Like, I don't think anything's wrong with that. And it's just like, and I'm wondering if anything like that took place with her, where they had, the siblings had different talents. And she was like, okay, let me invest in you in that talent. So therefore you can try to kind of take it to another level. That's the type of support that I'm about. It's like what I say, like you teach a man how to fish, he'll eat forever. So that goes into, okay, well, let me help you out, going into like the teaching how to fish, because these adults now, you are a product of your environment. And it seems like the other siblings, what they have in common, they're not really go-getters like that. You're seeing it in BroRilla, aka Victoria. You're seeing it in her as she's kind of been on the internet for the past week, and she's going and doing these little shorts and interviews and things like that. But for the most part, they hadn't been grinders like how GloRilla was. They hadn't been grinders like that. And I'm wondering if because of that, does that have anything to do with why GloRilla hasn't really tried to kind of invest in them like that? Because to hustle and to be a grinder, it's a mindset. Like, you don't really teach that. It's kind of something that's innate in you. It's in you. And I'm seeing it in Victoria. I'm seeing it in her. But it seemed like it took for this situation, this horrible situation, this beef between her and her sister on the internet for it to really start coming out of her to say, you know what, I gotta grind it out. Um, I got some motion. I need to kind of keep my foot on the, the gas, that type of thing. And, so we're seeing Victoria, she's knocking out, every time she on live, she got a wad of money. You can tell she knew the money. She got a bunch of money that she got in her hand. So I'm happy for her in that regard. It's just unfortunate that this was how she was able to kind of get that fuel behind her, like to really grind, to get, what do I want to say, like to get that energy to kind of to go for it and to pop. Like, it's unfortunate that it had to come from her airing out the family business. It's very unfortunate, but that's what happened. And she says that she never would have thought that this was how it was going to happen. But it's just the way it happened. And I think she's going to continue to have popularity. She'll continue to grow. She'll continue to make money. GloRilla will continue to, have success in the music industry. But I hope that coming out of this situation, that both of the ladies will value family more than what they had before this internet beef started a week ago. I hope that it will have them both to kind of really do some soul searching, to think about how they themselves can do better and to just show up better as a person and show up better in a better way for your loved ones when they're in need. Because GloRilla don't have to give Ma her money, but I just view it as, when you got when you're up and you see someone struggling, a family struggling, I just think that it just makes sense to try to help them in some type of way. It just makes sense. And I just can't imagine being up and seeing my siblings struggle and not trying to kind of help them and help their situation to where they can kind of get to a place to where they can continue to build. Lot of lessons learned from this situation. I'm going to continue to follow it. Like I said, Scarface Woods, she's she's hilarious. So I like to hear her talk, and she's so she gives a lot of detail as she talks about, her stories with the family and things like that. So as she speaks, I've just kind of been trying to take it in and to really understand and to not just look at things from the surface, but to really go deep and to really, try to understand, like, really what's really going on. My question was, who's in the wrong in the Woods family drama? 54% say GloRilla, 46% say BroRilla. So it's almost like, cut in half with how people feel about the situation. I think that the more BroRilla, aka Victoria, speaks, I think the more people are starting to see things from her point of view. I think that the parents, they play both sides. I think they play both sides. I think when they communicate with Scarface, they talk from a place of need and want and lack. But then when they communicate with GloRilla, they talk like, oh yeah, what you're doing is enough. It's good. I'm grateful. You see, so it's like, I think they're playing both sides. I think GloRilla is doing, of course, way more for her parents than she is for her siblings. No, she don't owe the siblings anything, but for her parents, they're her parents, so I would look for her to do for her parents. But I think that the parents, they play both sides. They just tell both sides kind of what they want to hear. And if it comes down to having to choose, because both sides learn that they're playing the middle, they're going to choose the side where they can kind of get the most from. GloRilla has the resources, so they're not going to mess that up. So they're going to choose that side and say whatever they need to say that makes GloRilla looks more favorable. But Scarface, aka Victoria, she peeps, she sees what's going on. She has her receipt. She's like, listen, it is what it is. I know what's going on. They know I know the truth. Even GloRilla know that I know the truth. And that hurts her because she sees how her parents are willing to throw her under the bus for GloRilla, knowing that she's not lying about the things that she's saying because she has the receipts that she's been posting. She has the text messages. So they know, but they're willing to have her look crazy by saying, no, I didn't say that, this, that, and the third, when it's not true. So I would say, of everything from the side, everything that I've been hearing with this family, I believe BroRilla, aka Victoria, I believe her and what she's been saying over the other family members who's been talking. I think that she's been the most honest. And that hasn't worked out. That hasn't been favorable that hasn't worked out as far as with her family, with her being the favorite, it being favored for her in the family because she's been speaking so much. They just want her to shut up. And the more they want her to shut up, the more she's talking, the more business that she's sharing. She actually says she didn't even pull a pew-pew, because it was out there that she pulled a weapon on GloRilla. She was like, that's not true. She was like, I was at GloRilla's show last summer. I went with my mom. My mom snuck me in or whatever. She was like, do you think somebody who pulled a piece out on them would let the person be around them anymore? Because I really thought about that recently. I'm like, well, I wonder how did they get past that? Because I saw a picture of GloRilla and BroRilla, aka Victoria. It probably was that same show from last summer. And I couldn't help but to think, I'm like, how did they get past that? Because allegedly the whole pulling out the weapon happened like some years ago. I think Victoria, aka Scarface Woods, would have been about 19 when that happened. And GloRilla, I think, was maybe about 16. So I'm like, how did they get past that? But BroRilla's like, yo, because it didn't happen. She was like, that never happened. You think somebody should have me be around her if that happened? That made sense to me. That made sense to me. Also, BroRilla, aka Victoria, aka Scarface Woods, said that they said that she was in a mental health facility and she had broke out. She said she's never been in a mental health facility. She was like, that's not true. So there's these things that's being put out there about her that she's saying is not true. And the thing about it with these stories, from what I'm seeing, I see more credible receipts coming from Victoria, aka Scarface Woods, than I do see come from any other side. So that's why I'm more inclined to believe Victoria, as they have this whole internet beef. I'm more inclined to believe that what she's saying what took place versus anybody else in the family. So that's my thoughts on it. It's a lot. I'm sure Scarface Woods, aka Victoria, have done some more videos today that I probably have to check out. But she's shared a lot of information. You can tell she's hurt. She's hurt. She's hurt, but at the same time, she brought it to the internet. So that's also another thing. Because she said she got a bald spot and everything. She's stressed out, but she brought it to the internet. So I don't really feel sorry in that regard, because it's like, okay, you brought it to the internet. You brought it to the internet, but everything's out right now. So hopefully, somehow, GloRilla and BroRilla can sit down together and have a conversation one day, even if it's not anytime soon. Hopefully one day these ladies can sit down and have a conversation and forgive one another. And I definitely feel like the parents need to take responsibility over the role they've played when it's come to as it pertains to the relationship amongst the children, because I believe the quality of the relationships amongst the siblings. It's the result of the different, the treatment of the children from the parents. It's the treatment. It is the treatment, and children pay attention. That's why, the children, they watch you. You got multiple children, they paying attention to see what you're doing with the other kids. They always looking. They be looking. They trying to see. They always looking. They're always looking, and then when they become adults, they talk about it. They talk about the treatment. They talk about the treatment. So just because, like I said, you choose not to talk about something, it don't mean that it's not a situation. There's no issue there just because you're not talking. And clearly with the Woods family, there are issues. There are deep-rooted issues that now everybody and their mama are aware of. But you know what? Every family have their issues and have their, like, it's just the difference between them versus the next family is the next family's information is more than likely not on the internet like this. That's the only difference. Their stuff is not on the internet. The Woods family stuff is on the internet. But everybody got their thing. So me coming out here talking about it is not even, I don't even look down on any of them in the family. I'm just speaking on just what my observations and pointing out to anyone who comes across this video that the family issues that they're dealing with aren't unique. They're not unique. Every family goes through their challenges. Every family goes through their challenges, but not every family stops to deal with it. Not every family stops to deal with the problems. Not every family is open for resolution to the issues. And that's what separates one family from the next. Who's willing to address the issue? Because that's how you get to that better place, when you're ready to own and to acknowledge that there is a problem. And when you're ready to own and acknowledge your role in the situation, because we all play a part. We all play a part. Everybody with the Woods last name play a part, and everybody has to be accountable for their part. So let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this situation? Please complete the poll. Do you feel like GloRilla was in the wrong, or do you feel like BroRilla is in the wrong? Also, I'd like to know if you'd like to see them publicly come together and just put their issues, their beef to the side. Would you like to see that? I know I would like to see that, because I don't like to see family fighting, and this is an entire mess. Like, I'm sure they weren't raised to fight each other like this, because BroRilla said when they were younger, when they didn't go to school because they were homeschooled, the mom was like, y'all can be each other best friend. It's 10 of y'all be each other best friend. You don't need no one on the outside. So clearly they grew up in a household where there was some closeness at some point. At some point, there was some closeness, and then it became a point to where they, at least BroRilla and GloRilla just kind of started to go like this. It started to go like this, but I would like to see them come back together and carry on as sisters who love each other, because deep down, I'm sure they love each other, but they've both been hurt by one another. Both of these ladies are hurt. I'm sure GloRilla is very hurt right now. I'm sure she's hurt. She's embarrassed. What they say, be your own. She would have never thought that her sisters, that she would be dealing with this on this type of level at the hands of a family member, her sister. Who predicts something like this? Like, who predicts something like this? So I'm sure she's hurting. That's life, right? That's life. So let me know your thoughts and comments. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to continue to follow the Woods family Child, because it's a lot. It's a lot going on. But like I'm watching with the rest of the world because like this worldwide, everybody and their mama is following this family. It's like an entire reality child. This is like the with the what they didn't got rid of the Black Braxton. This didn't replace the Braxton family values. It's the Woods family values. Y'all remember everybody was watching the Braxtons. I never got into the Braxtons, but I knew they were like big. And I think I've heard, I think the show's not around or is getting canceled or something. I don't know. But to me, this situation, with the Woods family, it makes me think of like, the Braxton's family and all the shenanigans that takes place with that family. So now we got the Woods family. So until the next episode of the Woods family, but yeah, like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, I will catch you on the next broadcast. Peace.